Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are kicking off 2023 with January new releases. So I have a whole ton of books to talk about. January is kicking off the year strong. I have 15 new releases that I am ridiculously excited for. If you haven't seen one of these videos before, this is not an extensive list of new releases. This is only the new releases that I am personally anticipating, but I will have some creators linked down below who do some similar videos in case you're looking for even more new release recommendations. But I did this video every single month last year. That playlist will also be linked down below in case you're looking for some backlist titles. We have 15 books to talk about, and these are going to be broken down by release date, so let's get right into it. Right away on January 3rd, there are 3 books that I'm super excited for. First is The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. This is the latest mystery thriller from this author. This author also writes under the name Erin Sterling, and she writes the X Hex series, but this is the name that she uses for her YA and for her mystery thrillers. And this is following these 2 best friends, and their relationship is kind of on the rocks, like they're struggling with their friendship, and they decide to take a trip to Italy, and they stay in this villa to try and like fix their friendship. But this villa has a really dark history, and one of the women starts to investigate the history, and she gets wrapped up into what actually happened, and it's starting to put a even deeper strain on their friendship. I know that this has been getting some mixed reviews, and I think part of the reason might be because it is a suspense novel and not necessarily a mystery or a thriller. Hopefully this one ends up being a hit for me. Then we have Back in a Spell by Lana Harper. This is book 3 in the, I think it's the Thistle Grove series, and this is a witchy romance contemporary sort of series following these families in Thistle Grove. In the first book, we were following a competition between all of the family members, and now that we've gotten to know the family members, we're getting some of their romances. And this one in particular is going to be a romance following one of the Blackwells, which is kind of like the family that no one likes. But we are following a heroine who has recently gotten out of an engagement. She is being set up on this like dating site or something like that, and it ends up matching her with someone in Thistle Grove who is a co-owner of the restaurant there, and the 2 of them have a romance. However, the heroine's family keeps trying to buy out the restaurant, and so our other main character is kind of holding a grudge against her, and it is their kind of like begrudging romance. I believe the other main character is slowly developing powers, which doesn't happen unless you are in like a very committed relationship. I really love this world and setting and magic and all of the families and their ridiculous dynamics, so I'm really excited to get into this one. And then lastly on the 3rd is a horror novella, and that is Ghost 19 by Simone St. James. Simone St. James is one of my favorite suspense thriller authors, and I've never read a novella from them before. So this is set in the the late 1950s, and our heroine is told that she needs to slow down, so she ends up leaving New York and going to like a New York suburb, and she becomes obsessed with watching her like suburban neighbors, and I believe that she thinks that someone has been murdered or somebody is trying to murder her, or that someone might be in the house, something along those lines. I do have this on audio from PRH Audio, so hopefully I will be reading this one really soon. I meant to read it back in October and just never got to it, but this sounds super, super spooky, and I am very excited. I love how Simone St. James always mixes some slight paranormal elements in with her more realistic stories, so I'm really excited to see where this one goes. I have absolutely nothing on January 10th. I don't know if that is just like a dead release date or if it's just for me, but I have nothing on that date. On January 17th, I have another 3 books that I'm excited for. We have How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, which is another haunted house story, and I believe this one is about 2 siblings who are trying to sell their like childhood home, and it might be haunted. That's all I know about it. I haven't read a Grady Hendrix book before, but this is another one that I have on audio from Penguin Random House Audio, so I do plan to read this one. I know that Grady Hendrix is known for mixing horror with humor, and that sounds very intriguing to me. I know Riley from Riley Marie really loves Grady Hendrix, so I'm really interested to give this author a try for the first time. Another horror, which is crazy, we have What Lies in the Wood by Kate Ellis Marshall. I just read Kate Ellis Marshall for the first time late in 2022, and I have completely fallen in love with her paranormal horror books. And this is an adult novel. I believe this one opens up with these like teenage girls who go into the woods, and one of the girls ends up being stabbed like 17 times, and she survives and ends up identifying the man that hurt her. He goes to prison for life. Flash forward to the present day, and the women discover that the guy they sent to prison has died in prison, and now the woman who was stabbed as a teen might be willing to confess that the guy that she accused didn't really do it. And it is all of them going back to their small town and kind of learning what actually happened. I'm assuming there is going to be something paranormal in here just because Kate Alice Marshall's other books, like her YA books, are all paranormal. So I'm very interested to see like where this one all goes, whether or not it ends up being totally realistic or if it ends up being more paranormal. But I really like this author's writing, and her books are kind of terrifying. So I'm excited for this one, but I'm also a little bit nervous. And then the last book on this day is my most anticipated book of the entire year at this point, and that is Maniac by Onley James. I apologize for all the times that I mispronounced this title. This is the final book in the Necessary Evil series. This is Thomas and Aiden's romance, and I am so ridiculously excited for this book. I have talked to Steph from Novelty Corner about doing a live show for this book. I don't know if it's gonna happen in January or February. We haven't set a date, but we are talking about doing a live show for this book because we are both ridiculously excited. If you don't know anything about the series, it is a romance series following these adopted brothers who are all psychopaths and serial killers. And they were all adopted by Thomas Mulvaney. In each of the books, they get their romance, and now we are getting Thomas's romance. Since I picked up book one, I have been waiting for this moment, and it is almost here, and I cannot wait. And then on January 19th, we have The Choice by Ashley Jade, or A Jade, I believe in this one. And do I know what this book is about? Not even a little bit. I have read a couple of Ashley Jade books. One series I absolutely loved and I gave 5 stars, and the other one I absolutely hated. So I'm really interested to give this one a read. However, the synopsis for this book irritates the shit out of me. And let me know if you are in the same boat, but I hate when the synopsis of a book is like this overly dramatic reading. Like I don't need that. Give me the tropes, give me the main plot points. But this one is like one of those, he is my earth, always keeping me grounded. I was his sky, always just out of reach. What is that shit? Don't give me that. I don't need that. That doesn't help anybody. I'm interested to give this one a read. It sounds like it's Star-Crossed Lovers. That's the name of the duet. I have searched high and low for what the fuck this book is about. No idea. On January 24th, we have another 4 books, and first up is a slightly different, I'm saying different, but it does still have a romance in it. It's just more like slightly magical literary sort of romancy, and that is The Minuscule Mansion of Myra Malone by Audrey Burgess, maybe? I have to look up this author's last name. But this one is like I said, a slightly magical, almost a literary sort of book, but it does have a romance. And what intrigued me about this one is the magical element. I love a slightly unexplained magical element in my stories. And in this one, we are following this heroine who is known for this like tiny mansion that she builds, and it's super intricate. It says that she is a 34-year-old blogger and she designs these like dollhouse mansions. Someone ends up sharing this with a guy on like the opposite end of the country, and he realizes that all of the rooms are identical to his like family home or something like that. They don't know each other at all, and he has no idea how she knows, like down to the tiniest little detail, what his mansion looks like. I assume it is their romance. It sounds super fascinating. Like I said, slightly outside of my normal genre, but I do want to give some new things a try, and I think this sounds like the perfect mix between things that I love and things that I don't normally pick up. So I'm really, really excited to give this one a try. Then we have Georgie All Along by Kate Claiborne. I love Kate Claiborne, and I look forward to her releases every year. She seems to release a book in January every year, and I'm always looking forward to them, and this one sounds so good. And her books tend to be a mix between more contemporary lit fic and romance, so they always have an HEA, but they tend to also feature, like strongly feature the main character's personal journeys as well as a romance, but the romance isn't always like the only main thing in there, if that makes sense. In this one, we are following a heroine who has to return to her small town. When she is back in her childhood home, she discovers this like journal that she made when she was a teenager, and it documents all of the things that she like wanted in her life. It's kind of like a bucket list sort of thing. And she ends up having this roommate with this guy that she knew as a teenager, and he agrees to help her with her bucket list. And I assume it is their romance. Like I said, love Kate Clayborn's writing. I love her like character explorations and the way that she builds her characters. And so I'm really, really excited for this one. I'm probably gonna cry. And then we have the one YA book on this list, and that is Begin Again by Emma Lord. I absolutely love Emma Lord. I have read, I think, every single book of hers that she's released up until now. And this is slightly on the older end of YA. We are following these characters who are in university. And so our heroine is like with her longtime boyfriend, and she has always had a plan for her life. Like it is all mapped out. And she is finally transferring to a like large university, but her boyfriend ends up transferring out of that university without telling her. And all of a sudden, all of the plans that she had made start kind of falling apart. And it is her kind of rediscovering that maybe she doesn't always need a plan. And it sounds really cute and sweet. And this is supposedly a mix between Legally Blonde and The X Talk, because there is a podcast element in here. And anything that is compared to Legally Blonde immediately pops onto my anticipated list. And then lastly on this day is Do I Know You by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. This is another author that I tried for the first time, I think, in 2022. I absolutely loved their foray into adult romance, and this one sounds so much fun. It is following this married couple whose marriage is like on the rocks. They are really struggling, and they end up being gifted this like vacation package to a like couples retreat, or like a retreat that's known for like helping people fall in love. While they are there, they are like not speaking to each other, and somebody ends up introducing them to each other thinking that they would be like a good match, not realizing that they are there together, and they pretend to not know each other. And it is them faking it throughout this entire vacation that they don't know each other, and they are slowly falling back in love. I love a marriage on the rocks. I love it. I love a good second chance romance. So I'm really excited for this one. I'm hoping this gives me a lot of like Forgetting Sarah Marshall vibes, where it's kind of like a rom-com-y set on a vacation sort of thing. And then on the 25th, we have an indie release, and that is Can't Say Goodbye by Eden Finley. This is one that's just kind of like on my radar. I'm not 100% on whether or not I am going to read this one, but this is a polyam MMM romance. This is a standalone, but apparently it is tied to her fake boyfriend series. And so at least one of these characters, if not all of them, have been featured in that series. I've only read the first book in that one, so I don't recognize any of these characters, but it sounds like we're following our main character who ended up having this like one night stand turned into more. He ends up needing to leave the relationship, and he needs to maintain a low profile. And so he doesn't feel like he can like be involved in this romance because he doesn't think people understand. It is them meeting up every year to have one night together, and it is them slowly falling in love. I'm interested in this. I do love a polyamorous romance. I do really enjoy Eden Finley's writing, so I am considering picking this one up. I'm just not 100%, but I did want to put it on everyone's radar since it is something that I'm kind of keeping my eyes on and checking reviews for as it gets closer to release date. And then on January 26th, we have the sequel to The Choice, and that is The Consequence by Ashley Jade. Again, I don't know what this is about, but it is a duet that is coming out like back to back, so this is the conclusion to the duet. And then lastly, on January 31st, we have two books. First up, we have The Drift by CJ Tudor, which is a author that I have read from before. She also mixes paranormal with her thrillers, which is just something that I really love. And in this one, we are following these three different incidences where our main character is stranded, and all of them are stuck in isolated, dangerous situation. I think in the snow. Somehow they are all connected. The last line of the synopsis says, "Each is part of the piece of the puzzle. Lurking in their shadows is an even greater threat, one that threatens all of humanity." It sounds fascinating. I really like how CJ Tudor pulls off some of her twists, and I'm very excited to see what this one does. And then lastly is another book that was sent to me by Berkeley, and that is Sorry Bro by Talene Vascuni. I did look up how to pronounce that author's last name because I didn't want to mess it up in this video, but this is a sapphic romance that I am so excited for. This is following our heroine who ends up being proposed to in like a terrible way by her boyfriend, and so she ends up cutting it off, realizing that he doesn't know her at all. She ends up getting set up by her mom to go on this like Armenian adventure thing throughout the city. She ends up striking a friendship with this other woman who is like the total opposite of what her mother wants for her. She's like super into like witchy things. The two of them end up having a slow burn sapphic romance together, and I am so excited for this. So that is it for January releases. That was pretty rapid fire, so I will have all the links down below in case you want to go check out any of these books for yourself, read the full synopsis, or add them to your Goodreads TBR. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you added any of these to your TBR, or let me know if there are any additional books that I should have on my radar, and I will catch you all in my next video. Bye!